Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Renine Vase, and I'm a fellow representing the Arab American Civic Council. Many organizations who you hear from today are here to advocate and represent Assembly Bill AB 2763, the California MENA Inclusion Act. Advocating for AB 2763 secures funding for programs benefiting MENA communities. It ensures fair and equal access to vital resources such as education, healthcare, employment opportunities, and social services for the Middle Eastern and North African MENA communities. We would like to extend our gratitude to Assemblyman Bill Asaili, the first Muslim Assembly member and first Lebanese to be elected into office and author such a transformative bill that would be beneficial to thousands of MENA individuals. We would also like to celebrate the bill passing through the policy committees of Public Safety and Judiciary, proving that this bill is good for government and its constituents. The bill is now moving to appropriations, where the fiscal determination of the bill will be considered and weighed against the state's ongoing budget deficit. We are confident that the Appropriations Committee will make the correct determination and move the bill forward based on the potential return of investment for these state resources. We are looking forward to this bill moving out of appropriations for a vote on the Assembly floor by the end of May. With all this said, I would like to pass my time to the Arab American Civic Council's Policy and Research Coordinator, Amin Nash.
Shout out to Raineen. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, and I just want to give a shout out to everybody here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everybody for coming today. My name is Amin Nash. I'm representing the Arab American Civic Council. We're an organization located in Anaheim's Little Arabia. I would like to celebrate all the community members who sent letters and met their legislators to see the initial passing of the MENA Inclusion Act through the first two policy state committees. I want to give a shout out to all the organizations that have been involved: CARE, Access Cal, NIAC, so many others, Armenia Action Network. There's been a great number of organizations that have been involved, and we worked as a village to see this through the first two policy committees. We're here to address our communities of critical issue, and that's the lack of data on MENA populations. Without a data standard, without a Middle East North African standard, we face enormous challenges, and I'll give time to the community behind me to share their views on how the lack of data recognition impacts them. But I want to point out that despite these challenges, the MENA community remains resilient and vital to California. Studies show that MENA immigrants contribute significantly to state and local taxes. A new American economy study published in 2019 analyzed economic contributions by the MENA community and found that MENA immigrants contributed $1.5 billion in state and local taxes, with $145 million being contributed from Los Angeles alone. I want to point out that this data is from the American Community Survey, which analyzes MENA immigrants who are born overseas and not the first and second gen, third gen, fourth gen, and it misses out on the people who are born here, the MENA immigrants, Middle East, North African immigrants that are born here. I want to reiterate that this is a positive investment by California. AB 2763 AB 2763 reaches the appropriations committees, I want the legislators to remember that MENA Californians have already paid their dues to see a category, and that no dollar value should dissuade a decision. It's time for California to count MENA in. It's time for California to count all of us in. I want to congratulate everybody here again. You guys have been doing a wonderful job. All the constituents, everybody who've been sending letters, they've really been pushing this, but we need more people to push this. We need more people to push their foot forward. So I want to thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Assemblyman Bill Asaili, and I'm honored to be joined by the Count MENA In Coalition, the sponsors of my bill, the MENA Inclusion Act. Assembly Bill 2763 is the culmination of decades of advocacy work by the Middle Eastern and North African communities who call California home. More than 700,000 individuals in California identify as Middle Eastern or North African, but are classified as white for data collection purposes. I remember being in school and being forced to bubble a box that I didn't really identify with. And people don't know that, but we have to check the white box on all the government forms. As a Lebanese American and the first Muslim elected to the California State Assembly, I count myself as among the 700,000 Californians who identify as Middle Eastern or North African. Current demographic data collection in California is entirely inadequate in capturing the unique experiences that MENA communities face, from health issues to socioeconomic outcomes. I authored House Resolution 30 in 2023, which called for a MENA category to be established as part of federal data collection standards. Assembly Bill 2763, the MENA Inclusion Act, is a continuation of my office's important work with the Arab American Civic Council and the MENA Coalition to give our communities long overdue recognition in state data collection efforts. Recognizing the MENA community will allow public and private institutions, agencies, and commissions to have accurate and effective information to understand our unique California communities better. I would like to thank the 21 nonprofit and community-based organizations and the thousands of people from across the state who have supported this proposal and advocated tirelessly for its passage. While there is still work to be done, MENA is stronger than ever today, and I look forward to this bill continuing through the legislative process and eventually making it to the governor's desk for his signature. Thank you all for being here.
Good afternoon. My name is Ellen Asatrian, and I'm honored to join you today as the proud mayor of the city of Glendale, which is the fourth largest city in Los Angeles County, with the largest concentration of Armenians in California and in the United States. Glendale is also home to the largest number of immigrants of any city in California. Over 51.1% of our residents are foreign-born. I'm also standing in front of you as the first Armenian American woman and the first immigrant woman to be elected to the Glendale City Council and to serve as mayor. This is personal, and the invisibility and the need is all too familiar. I'm here to speak in support of AB 2763, the MENA Inclusion Act, because millions of Armenians who currently call California home are completely invisible in the way of data. As local policymakers, it makes it impossible for us to properly create programs, obtain state resources for our largest minority group and our largest immigrant population. Armenians are also the second largest MENA population in the state of California and make up roughly 40% of our city's population. Everything from language access, housing, healthcare, sustainability, small business support to districting is being impacted by this invisibility. While COVID shed light on the many government barriers for our most vulnerable communities, the lack of data and therefore the lack of support for the Armenian American community was even greater. At the onset of COVID, as a private citizen at the time, realizing that all the state programs were inaccessible to the Armenian population, I personally took charge to create the COVID Resource Center and brought forth community volunteers to help educate, translate, and help community members fill out applications for programs ranging from small business to low-income families and seniors. And in essence, doing the state government's job. This is simply unacceptable. Just yesterday, the California Assembly and California Senate commemorated the Armenian Genocide of 1915 and the ongoing ethnic cleansing of the Armenian people. We are a people that have been victims of genocide, erasure, and also discrimination. The first wave of Armenian immigrants in California, together with other communities, were not allowed to buy property and enter white establishments. Unfortunately, our community is still experiencing systemic racism, as was shown in the recent CFPB report that found the Citibank purposely discriminated against applicants of Armenian descent and illegally fabricated documents to cover up discrimination. Yet, we are marked as white. With lack of data, it's extremely hard to track and address these cases of discrimination which our communities continue to face. California must be on the right side of history for our MENA communities. We cannot call ourselves the Golden State, yet deprive minority communities, including the Armenian community, of the same golden opportunities allotted to others. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Suzy Abadjian. I am the elected city clerk of Glendale, California, the city with the highest concentration of Armenians in California and in the U.S. What many people don't know about me is that I am also a Syrian Armenian immigrant and a third-generation refugee of a genocide. From the beginning of our immigration to California, my family and I have faced the same struggles as other immigrants and refugees. However, I have always felt invisible because every time I would be asked to fill out my demographic information on a governmental survey, health survey, employment, or school application, I would not see a checkbox that I identified with, or one that I would be able to check. So I would often skip this or put other. This has been the experience of my community together with other MENA communities in California. The lack of data on MENA communities has significant ramifications for equity and access. Lack of data means that we can't track and identify equity gaps and discrimination that impact our communities, as our mayor stated. And as a result, we can't address these equity gaps and issues. For example, in our city of Glendale, although it's estimated that 34 to 40% of our city is Armenian, and over 50% of the people are immigrants, what we see on state data is that our city is 60% white, which hides the realities that our residents face. Last year, we published a report on the status of women in Glendale. This report, for the first time, disaggregated some of the available data on Armenian women. And what we found was that 60% of women that are classified as white were actually Armenian. We found that only 32% of Armenian women have a bachelor's degree or higher in comparison with 43% of all women in the city. While 72% of all women are in the labor force, only 64% of Armenian women are employed. The median earnings of Armenian women are significantly lower than other women, and the poverty rates of Armenian women are significantly higher than women as a whole in our city. The only reason we were able to find all this information is because the Commission on the Status of Women in our city did the labor of disaggregating some of the available data. I'm here today to speak in support of AB 2763, the MENA Inclusion Act, because for the first time, our community and our city will be accurately counted in California, the state with the largest number of Armenian and MENA immigrants. This bill will enable all governmental entities in this state to collect voluntary data on individuals from a MENA background. It will enable us, for the first time on a state level, to track and remedy equity gaps that have gone unnoticed and unaddressed for far too long. We also thank Member Asali for introducing this bill and authoring it. And we hope that the governor signs this into law. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Omar Al-Tamimi. I'm with the Council of American Islamic Relations and I'm the Senior Policy Coordinator working out of the Sacramento Valley and Central California office. For this bill, if you look on a map for AB 2763, if you look at a map of the Mediterranean, any country that's on the coastline is counted as being white. When you tick off education, healthcare, whatever form you're filling out for the government, you're ticked off in that box of white, and you're grouped up and bunched with a bunch of other identities that you may not identify with. And so for us, this is a cornerstone bill that will help us achieve so many of our dreams and goals as a community. Whenever we go to, whether it's the county office or the State Department that we're trying to work with to solve some of our constituents' needs, the first question that we get asked is on data. Whether it's election season, how many Muslims live in your area, how many Arabs live in your area, how many Middle Easterns live in your area, how do you count that? In reality, our state has not been counting that, and we welcome the decision by the federal government in late March to introduce the MENA category onto the state census, or on the federal census. And so we're hoping that through AB 2763 we can our state will begin to implement and enforce similar policies for a lot of the forms and other things that we have to identify ourselves as. I was a student growing up in the 2000s, and I still had to check off a box, and I didn't know whether I was Asian, white, or whether to identify as African, even though, from North Africa. It was a difficult time and a difficult box to check. And if we're talking about language accessibility, health equity, education equity, it really starts with that checking off of a box. You know how many people are affected, under what category and what ethnic category they fall under, and that's when policy change begins. But without that count, without that number, there's really, we're always at square one. And so we're excited for this bill. We're going to support it all the way, and we're thankful to the coalition for all the work that they've done so far to bring it forth. And thank you all for being here today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mustafa Zahid. I'm the Director of Operations for Somali Family Service of San Diego. We are a community-based organization guided by our community champions to empower immigrants, refugees, and other underserved communities through our programs that promote health, economic, and educational success, as well as leadership development. And we're here today to support AB 2763, the MENA Inclusion Act, because with the communities that we serve, oftentimes the data is not collected. Really what we're here today for is to really emphasize the importance of the data equity. Without proper data, that leads to direct disparities for the communities that we serve. This was definitely highlighted during the pandemic when there was a lot of resources that were mobilized and put into the communities, but unfortunately without the right data on our communities, those same resources were not available to the communities that we serve. So we're here today to support AB 2763, and we're here to say that without this proper data equity, there's other things that we need, of course, like language access and health equity, but it all comes back to the data. And without us having the data everywhere we go, all the resources will be tied back to that. So we really hope that this bill will pass and that the governor will sign it. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're so happy to be here with you all. What beautiful community behind us, folks who came from all across the state. A major thank you to Assemblymember Aseli for leading this fight and doing it with so many wonderful community partners. My name is Dr. Sophia Arman. I'm coming on behalf of the Armenian National Committee of America Western Region Task Force and a coalition that's led by ANCA Western Region of over 30 Armenian American direct constituency and direct serving organizations. We are the people who do the day in, day out work, right, with our community, just like all of the wonderful folks behind us. We come here as Armenian National Committee of America Western Region, Armenian American Action Network, and dozens upon dozens of frontline California Armenian organizations in calling for the passage of AB 2763. We are behind this bill, and we are behind the Count MENA in California campaign. Let's hear it, right? Count MENA in California. For over 30 years, Armenia constituency-based organizations have called for just this, that public agencies collect data on Armenian Americans and all MENA communities. The invisibility of Armenian Americans in data leads to ongoing marginalization of the needs, issues, services, and concerns of the Armenian American community in the state of California. Armenian Americans are a vibrant and essential community in California, like all MENA Americans. We have a long history here, like all MENA Americans. AB 2736 is a historic step towards righting the historical injustice of our exclusion, our erasure, and our misrepresentation in data and in the resultant funding and services that we use every single day. We want to make clear that individuals with roots in the MENA region have numerous and varied ethnic, cultural, and religious backgrounds. When we are all lumped under white, and when we don't get to identify with what we are, we get data that's inaccurate. We get data that misrepresents us, and most importantly, doesn't do what it's supposed to do, which is get culturally relevant services and needs directly to us. The lack of demographic data on our populations prevents, very specifically, state agencies and this legislature from making informed decisions about us. I want to say also, on behalf of our organizations, but also the hundreds of thousands of Armenians that are part of it, that Armenians helped build this state. And when we got here as refugees, whether it was at the very beginning of the 1900s or today, we come here and we build every sector of society. And what we have is government services and agencies from education to business to culture, not currently reflecting our needs because data is what drives policy. We're here to say, both as community members, as advocates, as researchers, that there is no longer the time for our erasure or the silencing of our voices. We have been building hard for way too long, and it's time for our policymakers to reflect the needs of the community. We hope that AB 2763 will be passed with flying colors, and we know that Governor Newsom will count on us. Count MENA in, California.
Hello everyone, I'm Amber Abugarbia, a community member representing the Arab Cultural Community Center and a school counselor as my day job. Day in and day out, I see as a school counselor that my students far too often are not counted, so we have no services for our MENA community. There's not a way to identify my students. Unfortunately, when I went to even start and form a group, we are considered white, so it's all by word of mouth whether or not they'll get services, and because I'm a Palestinian American, I cared enough to do that research, but unfortunately there are a lot of schools where there is nothing for our students. So when it comes to their individualized learning plans, their SAT scores, opportunities for scholarships, day in, day out absenteeism rates, suspension rates, there's nothing to identify them. And I just think that the MENA Inclusion Act will help us see and hear our students. That's very important in California. So please see and hear our students. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. I think now, if there's any members of the press or anybody that has any questions or want to add anything, we'll take the time to answer any questions here. Yes. Yeah, so in the beginning when we started drafting this bill, or started working on the bill, there was no federal standard yet. So we referred to kind of two definitions of what the MENA bill, what a MENA category would look like. One is what the federal level at the time was testing and recommending, but we also referred to the UC SWANA definitions, which is a broader definition. So this California bill has more categories, more ethnicities. It's kind of a broader sense, and it completes the package of what you would say would be a Western Asian or a North African, people that fit in this region. So that's one way that it differs a little bit. But for the most part, it does match correctly with the MENA standard that the federal government has. It's just it has a broader definition, and we would say that it's also taken a step forward in recognizing what at least California's MENA population looks like, and that would be what we have in this bill. I don't know if there's anybody that would add on to that or anything, or if you guys would like to add more.
It's really important that state agencies take MENA data. And so while federal MENA plans are wonderful, they're going to take years and years to implement, and we need our state to be at the forefront of MENA data collection, particularly because we are the largest MENA population in the entire country. And so California MENA data is needed now, and this is coming from the community itself, that we need our state agencies to also collect MENA data. Yeah. Yeah, the bill hasn't been scored yet, so we don't know what the cost is that's going to be attached. But we are committed to working with the governor's office and the legislature to reduce the impact on the budget. If that means that we have to broaden the window to give agencies more time to implement this, we're willing to do it. But I think this is something that's, if it's not financially funded this year, it needs to be financially funded in the near future.
And I think the returns to the state will far outweigh the minimal cost it will have to add an extra box when we're asking for questions. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that expensive for the state, and it's an important cause. And I tell you, when I look at the budget, we spend a lot of money on different things, and so I'm sure we can find space in the budget for this very minimal, modest request here. So we'll work with whoever we need to make sure we can address the financial issue.
And I don't know if there's anybody else in the public or anybody else that would like to ask questions, any clarifications?
I think we're good.
So thank you all. Thank you everybody for coming. I want to give my utmost appreciation to the community, this community that came together, the organizations that came together, spent a lot of time working together and putting together their brains for this bill. I don't want to miss this chance to really share my thanks to all y'all. You're all my heroes. I want to give my thanks to Assemblymember Asalee for taking initiative and pushing this bill. We hope to see more people sign on. We hope to see more people push for it. And, as we got more people coming up down the street, I think we'll end it here, huh? Thank you all.